Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. You want my guide to trolling the left? Trump 2028. There's a lot of talk about President Trump running for a third term. Is it possible? There's some long shot ways you could get President Trump into the Oval Office, including a constitutional amendment. Not totally out of the question. That's probably the longest shot of all. But there are some other nuanced end runs around the Constitution, let's say, to get President Trump into the Oval Office. And just talking about it triggers the left beyond belief. So I thought after Mamdani won in New York and you got the two Democrats who are expected to win in Virginia and New Jersey, that we'd talk about Trump 2028 just to stick it to all of those who are Trump deranged. And Trump derangement syndrome is very, very real. You know who's the best troller of all? Well, we know President Trump is, but he's also the best troller when it comes to the Trump 2028 conspiracy because he doesn't really rule it out. He kind of does, but he leaves the door open with a little crack. And of course, that sends the left into the stratosphere. So we're going to talk about that today. And then something that may be even more serious than Trump 2028. And that is this subtle Islamic takeover of America. The Mamdani for mayor election was just one example, one step in what clerics are calling for across the country to take over school boards, to take over city councils, and ultimately, their words, not mine, take over the White House. They will feed off of us, quietly feeding off of us until the Islamization of America is 100% totally complete. So we're going to go through that today as well. Of course, GrantStinchfield.com is the website. Please subscribe to the podcast anywhere that you can. And then I want to tell you about my friends over at Augustus Precious Metals. Listen to me. Gold right now is the place to be. Augusta Precious Metals is getting it done for so many Stinchfield's Army members. Now, some experts believe gold is going to go to $10,000. All right. You know what this would mean for your savings? So inflation's out of control. Government debt, we see with the government shutdown, government debt is still out of control. Global tension skyrocketing. All of this leads me to believe that there is a path to $10,000 an ounce. Your 401k, your IRA, you can take some of that money and turn it into a precious metals IRA. Augusta Precious Metals can help you with this. So God forbid the stock market crashes. You don't want your assets to just vanish. This is gold you can hold, a physical commodity. In 3 minutes, I'm going to be able to show you the future of gold and whether it's right for you. Just 3 minutes of your time. So here, go to grantlovesgold.com. That's grantlovesgold.com, or text Grant to 35052. That's 35052. Text Grant to that number, grantlovesgold.com. If you've got a minimum of $50,000, we want to hear from you because this is about protecting your assets. And this company, by the way, has a buyback program of the gold that cannot be beat in the industry. Widely regarded as the best. GrantLovesGold.com. All right, with that, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, so what do you all think about the idea of President Trump running for a third term? It would be his fourth time running for the presidency. Now, there are some limitations, okay? The Constitution clearly states that a president cannot be elected more than twice. But it doesn't say anything about taking over the seat in succession, where if you were the vice president and the president steps down and now you become the president. Says nothing about that. I actually think that's a viable option. You could be elected to Speaker of the House. The vice president and president could step down at the same time. I guess then the president could then reappoint the vice president or the president as his vice president. And you just do a giant shuffle because the Speaker of the House is third in line. These are all ways to make an end run around the Constitution. Now, there are scholars that will tell you, no. That wasn't in the spirit of the law. Maybe, maybe not. It can be debated. And the beautiful part about all this, so don't email me right now and tell me, oh, the Constitution says this or that. This is why we have lawyers. They debate these things to tell us why we can interpret the law one way or interpret the law another. And I'm a real text guy. So when I look at the text of the law, elected president, I see there is a path. Now, quietly, I will wink at you and tell you I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think President Trump is going to run any of these maneuvers to take back the White House for a third term. But I'll keep pushing it, and I'll keep pushing it because it is the best troll of the left possible. They take this stuff so seriously, okay? Listen to Ruben Gallego from Arizona. He doesn't even realize we are poking him.
I don't take it seriously because he will, be in violation of the Constitution, and he should be arrested if he attempts to do that.
You think he should be arrested if he attempts to have a third term in any way? At what point? I mean, if he talks about it, what constitutes doing that in your view?
If he files to run for presidency and attempts to run for elections, and then circumvents and ignores the rules, I think that would be a quick decision by the Supreme Court. Then at that point, once his presidency is up, when he is, supposed to be, out of office, he's a violation of the Constitution of the United States, and he should be arrested.
I mean, do they not understand how dumb they sound? Now, first off, I'm here to tell you, I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm going to keep screaming, Trump 2028, brother, because we could use it. We need to finish what President Trump started, and he may need another 4 years of it. And then J.D. Vance, another 8 years of that. And then maybe we just have him run for a third term. They take it so seriously, they look ridiculous. The straight face of the CNN anchor and Ruben Gallego, just absolutely wild. And I actually believe my buddy Steve Bannon, who I have the utmost respect for, this is a guy with a brilliant mind. I actually believe he's engaging in what I'm doing. He's trolling the left. He knows they hang on every one of his words. So when he sat down for this interview and said this, I thought it was fabulous.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
That's my favorite comment. He will be president in 2028. There's a plan in place where the left is now thinking that inside the Oval Office, you've got President Trump's staff. They're not working on the government shutdown. They're not working on tariffs and the Supreme Court fight. They're not working on making sure our military is in the best and finest spot it could possibly be. No, they're contemplating a Trump 2028 plan, and they're not going to give up the White House. And you know what? The fact that the mainstream media and the liberals think that, to me, is the best thing going.
He had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need.
So this is even better. When I tell you Steve Bannon is brilliant, not only did he troll the left with the Trump 2028 declaration of fact, okay? He says it's divine intervention for this, that this is God's will, that President Trump is a vessel of Jesus himself. Now, I actually believe that to be true. The reason why Steve Bannon is saying this is not only because it's true, but he knows that's going to trigger the left. The left is godless. They are soulless. They don't believe in religion. If you believe in God or Jesus or a higher power, well, then you can't be beholden to Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Barack Obama because you have a higher power you're reporting to. That's what I believe. I believe I'm reporting to God, okay? In the end, that's where I get judged. But these leftists, they want you reporting to government. They want you being judged by the political leaders that you elect. So Bannon here totally triggers them with bringing God into all of this. This is my special Trump 2028 guide to triggering the left with the help of Steve Bannon.
Need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if.
Oh, here we go. See, this is what liberals do, and I brought up the word a moment ago. The spirit of all of this. Well, this is what liberals, they want a living, breathing document in the Constitution. The Constitution literally clearly says shall not be elected twice. And that's pretty clear. You can't be elected president twice unless you change the Constitution. So how do you get President Trump into the Oval Office without being elected? There are ways to do that. There is a plan in place. At the appropriate time, we will unveil the plan.
You find some way around it. And to those
can the
people
American
who
people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up? Would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
Oh, Lord. And again, this is the ultimate troll because you've got now some lady from England, right, who I don't even think she's an American citizen. Why is she commenting on our Constitution? Who now is going to call it a quasi-dictatorship when Steve Bannon just says our vessel to doing this is through the American people, okay? The American people taking action to get this done. That's not a dictatorship, by the way. Populist, maybe. Not a dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I think that's why it seems to me some kind of tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people.
That's it. He's right. And President Trump is negotiating his way to making America great again. And think about it. If he was a freaking dictator, you big idiots, he would just be doing whatever he wanted to do. Now, I would like Congress to help him do that and throw out the filibuster, and we can talk a little bit about that in a bit. But one of the things that leads me to believe that President Trump is on board with the total troll of the left is this.
Well, we have great people. I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have J.D., obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? I mean, you'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they.
So, am I not ruling it out? He won't say no, which he knows that he's trolling the left. And let's face it, President Trump has more energy than I do. I'm 56 years old, and I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. He's got more energy than I do. He could do it, but he's going to be old. At some point, President Trump's going to have to say, hey, look, I've spent the last 12, 14 years in this battle. Do you really want to keep going? Maybe he does. If anybody could, it would be President Trump. But I love the way he doesn't rule it out.
Don't. They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test. Have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests.
So he's just having fun with them. That's all he's doing with the mainstream media. And I love it, man. I really, really, really do. This, folks, we talked about staying in shape and feeling the best you've ever felt. I'll tell you, my friends over at Energized Health have kept me in the best shape of my life, and that's through intracellular hydration, getting hydrated at a cellular level. So at 56 years old, I got guns like this, and I'm not shy about showing them off. I feel like without Energized Health and their protocol, I wouldn't be in the shape that I'm in today. I have more energy than I ever had. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks on the Energized Health protocol. My mind is sharper. My testosterone is going up. My blood pressure has come down. This has been almost like a miracle, but it's all backed in science. So what is intracellular hydration? Here's what I would urge you to do. Go to the website and take the masterclass. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. Take the masterclass, and I promise you, you will not regret it. You find out about how getting hydrated at a cellular level can help you take back your life. You'll never get away from it ever again. EnergizedHealth.com, EnergizedHealth.com. Please tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. So I've got a little more of President Trump because he just is sending them into oblivion. Guys like Gavin Newsom can't stand this.
We will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him.
Does he not understand that one of his biggest supporters that sends him a Trump 2028 hat is fucking with him, okay? That's what they're doing. They are literally giving you the zig-zig razzmatazz, Newsom, and you don't have the sense of humor to see it, or you do, and you're just playing this game to feed the fire on the left. But really what we're doing is we're the one throwing gas on this so you guys lose it into oblivion. Right, Mr. President?
Sir, Speaker Johnson says that he told you that there's no time to amend the Constitution to allow you to serve a third term. Is that an accurate representation of the conversation?
I don't want to even talk about that because, the sad thing is I have my highest numbers that I've ever had. As I should, I ended 8 wars and we have the greatest economy in history. And by the way, energy prices are way down. Everything's way down. Beef is a little bit high. We're going to get beef down too. But prices are down and the economy's up. The only thing that's not down is the stock prices. And 401ks are through the roof. Everyone's 401ks hitting records. So we have the greatest economy we've ever had. I have my highest poll numbers that I've ever had. And, based on what I read, I guess I'm not allowed to run. So we'll see what happens.
Johnson says you're trolling when you talk about a third term. Are you trolling or are you serious?
I don't think he said that. I don't think he just said that. But it's a very interesting thing. I have the best numbers for any president in many years, any president. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad. But we have a lot of great people.
If you read it, it's very clear I'm not allowed to run. But it's a very interesting thing. It really is a very interesting thing, he says. So now there are people that realize that this is a troll and leave it to Speaker Johnson to spoil the fun for all of us, because that's what we're having is fun with it, Speaker Johnson. And I think he knows this because of the smirk on his face.
So speaking of that president, he didn't rule out potentially seeking or figuring out a way to end up with a third term in office. What was your reaction to that? Do you think that's a real thing?
You see how they're focused on it? So let me go here. This is Speaker Johnson, the clip that I was looking for, and then I'll go back and play the other one.
Well, there is the 22nd Amendment. I spoke with the president about an hour ago. It's late in the evening in Japan. He's working around the clock, serving the American people. He doesn't stop. Talk about someone who works around the clock. And as Chairman Pfluger mentioned a moment ago, and as we've reiterated in here so many times, you're looking at the split screen because under President Trump, the Republican Party has delivered. I mean, you're talking about reducing taxes, reducing regulations, cutting fraud, waste, and abuse, ended the border crisis, ending the crime crisis, resolving conflicts, wars around the globe, and working on these amazing trade agreements. It's been a great run. But I think the president knows, and he and I have talked about the constrictions of the Constitution, as much as so many of the American people lament that. The Trump 2028 cap is one of the most popular that's ever been produced, and he has a good time with that, trolling the Democrats whose hair is on fire about the very prospect. But I do believe that we've got 3 extraordinary years ahead of us, and the 2 years of the Trump administration are going to be an incredible thing. And I don't see a way to amend the Constitution because it takes about 10 years to do that, as you all know, to allow all the states to ratify what 2/3 of the House and 3/4 of the states would approve. So I don't see the path for that, but I can tell you that we are not going to take our foot off the gas pedal. We're going to deliver for the American people, and we've got a great run ahead of us. He'll have.
So again, 10 years to amend the Constitution, that's not happening. All right, so we know that's not happening. But the other ways it could happen, and he mentioned hair on fire. So this was the clip that I first thought was Speaker Johnson, but it's this congressman, and again, CNN at it, just beside themselves over all of this.
So speaking of that president, he didn't rule out potentially seeking or figuring out a way to end up with a third term in office. What was your reaction to that? Do you think that's a real thing?
Well, you know, what I've known about Donald Trump over the last 9 years that I've seen him is you can never count anything out. The man tries to joke about things. He floats trial balloons. He does something that people think is absurd until it's not absurd, until he actually tries to do it. So I've learned to take the man very seriously. This is not a laughing matter. This is unconstitutional. This is against the law. America does not have kings. We have elections to choose our leadership. According to the Constitution, he's not eligible to run in 2028, and him joking about it is not funny, and I'm not going to laugh about it either. So yeah, people should take it seriously.
All right, Congressman.
It is funny, and I am going to laugh about it, and I hope it goes down the line and it gets to a point where we start talking about Donald Trump for vice president with J.D. Vance. That, to me, would be the funniest of all, okay? That literally they just flipped the ticket, and then J.D. stepped down, and then Trump take back over, appoint J.D. as your vice president again, and we get Trump Vance for another 4 years. But it's not funny. Arrest the man. He's a dictator. These people are losers. They really are. I feel sorry for them in many respects. I don't know how else to describe it, but I do, in many respects, feel sorry for them. All right, I want to turn now to Mamdani. This guy, boy, he has made a 180. He got angry in his speech to New Yorkers. He is now clear that he is going to be a communist. He's quoting socialists, many of them that were eradicating Hindus in India. That's who we choose to quote. This is part of his speech. And then I'll get on to why this is a problem for New Yorkers and what this really is all about. There's something much bigger at play here than Mamdani.
Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses.
Everybody but Americans. So I'm not going to play all that. I think I played it yesterday, too. It just makes me so angry because he hates America. His mother said he's not an American. New York goes and elects him in the office. Now you're going to send freaking New Yorkers to Texas, my home state, where I live. Truth is, New York was my home state. I now live in Texas for 20-odd years. No vacancy, man. I'm putting a sign up. We don't want any. No vacancy. Unless you got a big company and you're going to bring conservatives down here that can't take it anymore, but don't bring liberals voting for liberal policies and wonder why you're fleeing New York. Please. President Trump was asked about Mamdani's victory.
I want to talk about New York City real quick. You're a New Yorker. You famously kind of had a fight with Ed Koch back in the 70s and 80s as he was a mayor. He obviously wasn't a democratic socialist, as you call the mayor-elect Zofran Mamdani a communist. But is there any part of you that looks at Mamdani and says, it is good for you politically to have a big foil there that you're going to talk about for the next 3 years?
You know, I'm so torn because I would like to see the new mayor do well because I love New York. I really love New York. When I left New York for Washington, New York was doing really well, but there were some bad signs. The bad sign was a guy named de Blasio. So the signs of de Blasio, that was the beginning, and it was bad. This one, we're going to, look, for 1,000 years, communism has not worked. Communism or the concept of communism has not worked. I tend to doubt it's going to work this time.
So, you know what's amazing is President Trump is such an optimistic guy. He's like, I wish him well, and I hope he does well because he wants New York to do well. But he knows New York can't do well, not with free buses, not with rent being freeze. You just tying the hands of landlords, city-run groceries. Like, it can't work. If President Trump says, I want the success for New York, but he knows that it can't be successful. I actually have another take on it. I hope New York falls into an utter state of despair, and I have friends that live there. I've got family that live outside of New York, but I have friends that live in Manhattan. I'm sorry, guys. I hope it goes into total despair. I hope you survive because I do think there'll be a crime wave beyond belief. But if it goes into total despair, it'll be a wake-up call. I think this should serve as a wake-up call for the rest of the country, Mr. President.
His victory speech?
No, it's literally never worked. Yeah, I thought it was a very angry speech, certainly angry toward me, and I think he should be very nice to me. You know, I'm the one that sort of has to approve a lot of things coming to him, so he's off to a bad start.
At one point he says, turn the volume up.
So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
How do you respond to that? Does that affect anything you're going to do?
It's a very dangerous statement for him to make, actually. And, you know, you talk about danger. I think it's a very dangerous statement for him to make. He has to be a little bit respectful of Washington because if he's not, he doesn't have a chance of succeeding. And I want to make him succeed. I want to make the city succeed. I don't want to make him succeed. I want to make the city succeed, and we'll see what happens.
Did you see reaching out to him?
I would say he should reach out to us, really. I think he should reach out. Right. I'm here. We'll see what happens, but I would think that it would be more appropriate for him to reach out to us.
So,
I agree. What is he going to say?
Speaking of reaching out, is there...
All right. So, look, President Trump doesn't need to reach out to Mamdani. Mamdani's going to need the federal money. President Trump's going to hold it back. As soon as he starts going into unconstitutional measures in New York, taking money from people that he shouldn't be taking money from, President Trump's going to hold that money back. And New York is going to be in a world of hurt because of it, because New York is going to totally depend on government money. So, yes, Mamdani ought to reach out to President Trump. He will not do it. I think in some respects, maybe Mamdani's goal is to just burn it into the ground. It could be, you know, just burn it down. Hey, you know I talk about Patriot Mobile all the time. There's a reason I do, because these folks are committed to a beautiful, great, free America. And every time you pay your cell phone bill, you can know a portion of that money is going to go to move the country in the right direction, to help President Trump, to help me, to help other great patriots. Get the word out. Talk about putting constitutions in schools across America. In God we trust. Putting the 10 Commandments in classrooms across America. These are the types of projects Patriot Mobile works on. So if you're not with Patriot Mobile and you're still funding the left through those other cell phone companies, you're really part of the problem. And I say that with all due respect. I've been telling you about Patriot Mobile for a long time. I'd urge you to make the switch today. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. This is my iPhone. You can use your own phone. You can upgrade your phone. They'll get you a new phone, whatever you need to do. They'll make you a deal to switch over. 100% U.S.-based customer service. That's great. They answer the phone right away. Their customer service is the best. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. That's the number to call them. Use the promo code GRANT to save 10%. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service. And that's great news. Free month is big savings. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT. 972-PATRIOT. Again, tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. So Mamdani, is all the rage now. But what do you think New Yorkers think about this? Well, this woman I saw on I don't know, I think it was TikTok or something. She went to interview small business owners. And I promise you, these are no Trump-loving Republicans, at least not, 8 years ago. Maybe they are now. I won't say they aren't now. But typically they were not Democrats or they were not Republicans. My guess is they may be moving that way, especially with what they have to say about Mamdani.
Did he win, by the way?
He won.
They chose the knucklehead, so we're going to pay for it.
What happens if he opens up the government-run...
Do you hear that comment first, though? Did he win? So here you are in New York City the next day, and you don't even know who won. That's called being unengaged. That's called being part of the problem. My guess is that guy, who sounds like an American citizen, didn't vote. And if he didn't vote, then that's part of the problem as well.
We're going to pay for it.
What happens if he opens up the government-run grocery stores?
I'm not with it.
Oh, you don't like the government-run grocery stores?
No.
$30 minimum wage. Can you explain how that might affect businesses?
We're going to hell. It's over.
How are they going to make payroll? It's just about all the policy that he's trying to do, increasing the workers and the taxes. It's not good.
The minimum wage doesn't help the worker. It just helps the system. Pay more money, more taxes, prices go up.
Overnight, half of them will go out of business.
Well, I'm in a blue state, I'm sorry, but I've been red my whole life. Democrats have always ruined, steal, rob, and lie.
Any thoughts?
All right, so that's great. So he said he's been red all his life. That makes me so happy. I'll bet you he didn't vote. In fact, I'd put $100 on it. If anybody knows that guy and can show me that he voted in the election, I'll give them $100. I will. But I don't think that guy voted. And so this is the problem for New York. He's red, but he didn't even know who won the election. If you were that concerned about it, you would have been voting and you would have been watching TV that night.
On having him for 4 years.
What I can do is just swallow and try to face it, but it's not easy. We're cooked. We're on the way to becoming a communist state.
The city's in trouble. They're in trouble.
Good luck.
Good luck. Bend over and take it. That's basically what they said. That's awful, man. Absolutely awful. So what is the response to all of this? The left wants to make it out that Mamdani is somehow Republicans' boogeyman, that we've made him into an evil, villainous character. We didn't make him into anything. He literally told us who he is, and he's living up to what he told us. In many respects, Mamdani didn't lie. He always said he's a socialist, basically called a communist, refused to denounce the global intifada, so we now know he's a terrorist sympathizer at best. If he lied on his tone and his willingness to just go hog wild angry. But for the most part, we knew who he was. He is a boogeyman. He is evil. He is the exact opposite of what America needs right now. Well, Ben Shapiro was on with the folks at CNN.
They do extremely well with picking a boogeyman out, and that is what they're doing. I mean, we cannot fall for that. I mean, they're simply otherizing Mamdani. They're saying whatever they want to say.
And it's not working, though. That's the thing. Like, the more they attack him, the more...
it's like... So then the question becomes why they're focusing on Mamdani. And I think the answer is because of Mamdani's own words. If you watched his victory speech last night, he used one line in particular that sort of leapt out and left off the screen when he said that there is literally no problem. This was his line. There is no problem too big for government to solve and no matter too small for government to care about. I mean, that's
terrifying.
what totalitarians would say, is that they're literally... And then the two people he quoted verbatim, aside from Mario Cuomo, which was I thought a delightful little slap at Andrew. I thought it was a little nasty. But he quotes Eugene V. Debs, who's a socialist, and then he quotes Nehru, another socialist, and then he says, "I am a socialist" from the stage. So saying that President Trump is somehow going overboard when he has campaigned as this, when the Democratic Socialists of America, which is a base from which he springs and to whom he answers in many ways, is openly socialist. He's not talking about moral. He's not talking about. He said on this network he hates capitalism. He said that on this network.
So, I mean, it's the same argument that I have, that Ben Shapiro has, that every other Republican has, every conservative has, that it's a good argument. It's a good argument that he's a boogeyman because he says he is. He says he hates capitalism on CNN. That's a boogeyman to us. To a free marketeer like myself, and more than anything else, I love free markets. Free markets open up opportunity for everyone. They enable the ability for prosperity beyond belief. Free markets. We don't really have many of them here in the United States. Even as a capitalistic country, we got a lot of regulations that limit free markets. Minimum wage is one of the regulations that limit a free market. The free decision to trade goods and services, your services and goods versus someone else's, who you want to work for, how much. We get in the way of free markets. But clearly, Mamdani hates free markets. He's the American Socialist Party. It's a complete oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense. It's lunacy, to say the least. So what is all this leading to? Where are we going with all of this? This is where we're going.
So know this, that Islam will enter every house. Every house. Don't worry about the Islamophobes. They can yap all they want. Their children will be Muslim.
My children are not going to be Muslim. Now, I only have one, and I'm snipped, so there'll be no future children. But my one child, who is a 16-year-old beast, is not going to be Muslim. That I promise you. And he will denounce this. And he is denounced already at 16 years old. He knows the dangers of this. He sees what his father has built with businesses, leaving a company, starting from scratch, liquidating a 401k, going and buying a business, building it, selling it for a profit, starting another business, building it, selling it for a profit, building a brand, Stinchfield, creating a business surrounding the podcast, the TV show, social media. That's about free markets. That's about Judeo-Christian values that America was built on. It's not about Muslim.
All those people of Taif, go to Taif today. Show me a kafir there. All Muslims. Read Tariq al-Thaqafi. Al-Thaqafi, this Qabila is from Taif. Great mujahideen, great ulama, they came from the children of those that used to throw those stones. So Islam will enter every house. What's the question? Are me and you going to be a part of it?
You see what he's saying? Islam will enter every house. Look at what they're doing in Texas, not far from me, Epic City. You've got the Attorney General suing to stop that. We're going to need bold leaders to stop another religion, and I don't care what religion it is. You don't introduce a separate society into America that lives by a separate set of laws than what we live by, and that's Sharia law, of course, and that's what they ultimately want. They want Sharia law throughout America, where our court system is thrown out, and that's what they're living by.
Are we going to take that become that sabab, that means, so that Allah puts all of that in your hisab? So you can be a part of this great victory that's coming, and wallahi, it's coming. It's coming in every house, in every country. Today here in Australia, subhanAllah, I'm sitting here in a masjid that we have people all the way out past the second place. Look at this. Who could have imagined these many Muslims in Australia? And it's not going to stop. You can stop immigration, you can stop whatever, you can do Muslim bans. Wallahi, it's not stopping. Because the Prophet ﷺ said it will enter every house.
He's in Australia. You don't think they think like that in America? think again. You better believe they think like that in America. Listen to this guy in America.
One day you're going to be the president of the United States of America. No one, koi Maikalani, who can stop you from becoming a president. Dream big, have a vision. Because if Barack Hussein Obama can be a president, Sohaib Jawad cannot be a president? Tell. He's going to be a president. He's talking about that the Muslims will take over Mecca. They used to laugh at him.
Listen to this, the Muslim takeover. They're moving the Mecca to the United States. And you want to hear how they do it? He gives it away. He gives the plot away. He basically exposes the secret plan for the subtle takeover of America, which will end, if they get their way, with America becoming a Muslim nation, not a Christian nation. Not on my watch, brother. Not a chance.
What happened? What is Mecca now? What is Mecca? It's coming. Change is coming to America. And what is Allah telling us? Kuntum khayra ummatin. You are the best of nations. You're better than everybody else. That's what Allah is saying. Let's work towards that. Let's work towards a Muslim mayor. Next election that comes in, nominate people for the school board of education. Next election that comes here, nominate people for the local township. Begin the demographics change. People converted. There's a big, huge conversion going on in this country. Where are the converts? They just convert and they're gone in the wilderness. The other thing, children. Muslims have the highest population. Average, they did a Pew Foundation did a research study, Pew Foundation, and they said that Muslim household average is 3.4 child per family. The white American has 1 child per family. We're already beating the march. Because these are voters. These are not just babies being born in hospitals. These are voters. That's the way a politician looks at it. We have to change the framework and start looking at things from a different lens, different angle. For future. You're not going to change society today in your lifetime, but you think about your grand.
He just literally tells you that every Muslim baby born is a warrior, not a baby in a hospital, but a future warrior. He told you he's not going to change it maybe in this lifetime, but this is for future generations. They operate on a 700-year plan. We operate by watching Entertainment Tonight, and if we're bored 30 seconds in, we turn the channel. We need to start operating with a long game in mind, with going on offense and making sure we put a stop to this craziness as quickly and as soon as possible. If we don't, we all will be under a world of hurt, as this gentleman spelled out.
As a religious refugee, increase the number of your followers and demand political accommodation, and then eliminate the previous culture. So I was speaking in Detroit area, and afterwards had people come up and visit around the book table, and they were telling me about a lady who had a ministry to pregnant mothers. So she shows up at a Muslim house, has a little present. Well, out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom, all pregnant by the same man. He's practicing Sharia law in his house. And then someone else says, oh yeah, Fazil bought a bunch of houses on the street, has a wife in each one.
Where was this?
In Detroit area. The wives go down to the welfare office and say their husband's not around. He goes and visits them, and the more kids they have, the larger the checks get. And he's living like a king at state expense, and all the kids playing in the middle of the street are his children. He's practicing Sharia law on his block. They take over several more blocks, and they vote in the school board. And now they have their Sharia in the schools. And then they take over more blocks. They vote in the police department, fire department, and in Hamtramck, Detroit, they vote in the majority of the city council. They have their minarets, their calls to prayer 5 times a day, no different than Pakistan. So we see the first ones come in as immigrants, and they're nice, and they're so nice, everybody says they're nice, nothing to fear, let more in, more come in, they gravitate together, form a community. Imam shows up and says, okay, you need to start getting a little more serious about this, more fundamental. Then the burqas start appearing, people will say the neighborhood's changing, they move out, more Muslims move in, and then there's always that stickler that says, I refuse to move out. And that's when there's random violence from Muslim youth. And there's no witnesses, because no Muslim family dare testify against another Muslim family on behalf of some kafir infidel that's hanging in the neighborhood. And so eventually they take over the entire neighborhood. And they do this neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, block by block, until they take over countries. And there's 1,400 years of track record to observe this pattern. So they took over Egypt which used to be Coptic Christian. They took over Syria, which used to be Christian. They took over all of Turkey, which used to be Christian. Took over all of North Africa, which used to be. They took Spain, held it for 700 years until the Spaniards drove them out.
I find it fascinating. I played the whole clip. It's about 2 minutes long. They do it slowly. Now, am I an Islamophobe? No. But as long as the Islamic community, by and large, keeps engaging in this activity that appears to me to be a takeover of America, well, I am going to push back. I believe in America and the fundamental value that you can practice any religion you want. I also have the free speech to tell you why I disagree with you on your religion. But practicing your religion does not mean instituting Sharia law or any other law that would circumvent the United States Criminal Code or anything else. So this is why we fight. This is why I raise awareness to this. This is why I want you to take what you see here, copy the podcast. If you know anybody that's skeptical, send them this podcast. Let them listen. Their own voices tell the story. They expose it all. You just have to listen. And then we get a battle plan from listening to them because now we know what they're up to. And we beat them to the punch, the school boards and the city councils. And yes, the White House. That's what needs to be done. I got a chance to interview Stephen Moore, President Trump's money man. I'm going to play that interview for you here in just a second. Talk about Trump's tariffs, filibuster, those types of things. But before I play that for you, I want to talk to you about the wellness company. And specifically, folks, this parasite cleanse. I have finished the parasite cleanse. And I will tell you that more Americans are having parasites than they even know. It was worth me to go through this parasite cleanse because I eat a lot of sushi. That's a parasite in raw meat from the grocery store. This parasite cleanse will clean your body. It's the best parasite cleanse on the market out there. Ivermectin and mebendazole, only from the wellness company. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. Some of these parasites have the ability, and I'm not saying this is for sensationalism, but they have the ability to get into your brain. You go through one of these parasite cleanses, you will kill the parasites in your body at all levels. Mebendazole and ivermectin. Ivermectin, as you know, totally 100% FDA approved. Same thing with mebendazole. This is an FDA approved formula for cleansing your body. This is a body detox, by the way. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. You're going to want to do that. And then don't forget about the men's product, Mars. It's a great energy booster, stamina booster, libido. If you're having problems with libido, Mars, okay? And not just that, but energy at all levels. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, so we got a chance to interview Stephen Moore today about many of the things we've just talked about, including doing away with the filibuster, the tariff situation, and those things. And with that, let's welcome Stephen Moore to the program.
Well, I guess it's a good morning. I'm still pretty bummed out about what happened in the elections on Tuesday and the fall of New York City, which is, our most important city. I know you in Los Angeles think you're the most important city, but it's a very sad state of development when you have over 50% of the voters voted for socialism.
Yeah.
In New York, it's sad. By the way, this is it. You haven't seen probably our hotline yet because it just was sent out, but this is a real failure of our education system. I mean, that we're graduating kids from high school and college that think socialism works. Where?
Yeah.
Where does it work? I was on CNN Fox the other day, and Will Cain asked me, does socialism, does that work anywhere? I said, well, yeah, it probably works in heaven.
Yeah,
not here on Earth, where you have saints, but we're not saints. So it's really sad. And one other quick thing, if I may, Grant, which is, as you guys know, I was privileged to know Milton Friedman towards the end of his life, and became, I was like an apostle of his, and we used to have dinner once every 6 months or so. And I remember towards the end of his life, I asked him, about socialism, and he said, the enduring lesson of the 20th century for anyone who knows anything at all about history is that socialism and communism are a complete failure, and that free enterprise is what makes people rich, and yet what the kids are learning is that socialism works, and it doesn't. So I'm sort of despondent about that.
Well, first off, let me say this. You have mad new respect from me because, look, I get to hang out with President Trump every now and then. I know you do, and that's a great thrill.
Yeah.
I am such a dork that I still watch Milton Friedman videos at 2 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep. Like that guy is a hero of mine.
Yeah.
The fact that you were having
yeah.
dinner with him is absolutely fabulous.
I want you to write down that
Cool.
that Grant said he's a dork. He always gets mad when I say that's
well,
dorky.
when it comes to that, I am.
Well, my wife thinks I'm a dork too.
We all are.
Look, I've been blessed in my life. I'm not famous, but I've known so many amazing people. I knew Milton Friedman. I met Ronald Reagan. I obviously know Donald Trump. I knew William F. Buckley, who was one of the most amazing people, ever. So how cool is that? And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm blessed to have met these incredible icons.
Yeah, it is amazing. So let me ask you about the tariff situation in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
What kind of an effect do you think this will have? I'm not quite sure where the Supreme Court's going. I heard some conservative justices give arguments against, and I heard arguments for. I'm not sure where this goes.
Well, I'm not a legal scholar. I'm an economist, but I know legal scholars. I know people are pretty smart on the Supreme Court and follow it pretty closely. They're all telling me that Trump will lose 6-3 or 7-2 on the court on this one. It'll probably be a nuanced decision where they may. Some of the terrorists can stand and some of them will not. Now, listen, I love Trump. I think he's fantastic. But I do think, look, we don't want a president to have unilateral authority to raise taxes. Imagine if Kamala Harris had won the election. Said, I have the power to raise taxes to stop, climate change.
He gets so mad at you when you say these tariffs are raising taxes. The boss gets very mad at you when you use that analogy.
He does. But a tariff is a tax. And look, I've become, look, Trump has convinced me that he's been able to use tariffs as an effective negotiating tool. So I'm not criticizing Trump on this. I'm just saying I think the court will strike some of these down. And then the question, of course, guys, is will the government have to send back the money?
I know.
To the people who paid? I don't know the answer to that.
Here's why I think that's dangerous, though. Because he has used them as negotiation tools. You're going to backslide so much. This could be really harmful, don't you think? I know you're not a huge fan of the tariffs, but think about where we are right now with China. Part of the reason we are where we are is because of these tariffs. This could be really damaging.
Can I throw one thing in here, Stephen? Is if we throw out the filibuster, and I probably have an idea where you stand on that, Congress could act very quickly and then back up these tariffs, because that's what the decision is going to be, is that he went around Congress.
Right.
Congress could just say, okay, we're going to do what the president did.
Yeah, so, those are both good points. And I think, you're right. I'm totally opposed to getting rid of the filibuster. If you're conservative, well, you have to be against getting rid of it.
You don't have to be, because here's the thing. I'm with you, but the old guard, here's the thing. We could trust that the filibuster wasn't going anywhere because we had Mitch McConnell and we had Chuck Schumer. But Chuck Schumer is going to go out on his keister. He's not going to be the leader of the Democrats in the Senate for much longer. And so if you have leader AOC, is she going to blink before she blows it up? This is what scares me, is that I don't think we can trust that the old guard is still going to be there to protect us.
But, okay, so let me respond to that, because it's an important point. Okay, you may be right that AOC takes out Chucky Schumer. By the way, how do you get to the left of Chuck Schumer? That's pretty hard to do, but she found a way. So if she wins, and then you get more of these socialists in the Senate, and the Democrats win the Senate, you sure as hell better have a filibuster to protect against these idiots who are going to try to make D.C. and Puerto Rico a state. They're going to try to raise the tax rate to 50%. They're going to try to make everything free. The ingeniousness of our Constitution is that we protect the rights of the minority, and that's a really important part of our thing. So just because we have a majority now is not a reason for it, because at some point we will lose the majority.
I know. I'm banking on it.
And there will be a Democratic president, and then we're going to wish, oh my gosh, if it hadn't been for the filibuster, Obama
All right,
would
but
have.
Stephen, let me just ask you this.
Crazy.
Do you agree with Jen that the next time Democrats take control of the Senate, that there's above a 50% chance, okay, let's use that, above a 50% chance they throw out the filibuster?
They'll try to. They've tried to. They tried to do that when Obama was elected.
Do you think they will be successful? If you put it over 50% that they'll be successful, then we have to throw it out now.
I think there would be such outrage. No, I don't think they're going to succeed in that, because the filibuster is really incredibly important to make sure. Look, the Senate is supposed to be the deliberative body, and they are supposed to make careful decisions. So, no, I don't think so. But
all right, I'm going to put you on the spot. What Democrat senator is going to be the John Thune or John Cornyn of Republicans that are just, we won't do it? What Democrat senator would fall into that?
Fetterman. That's it.
I was going to say Fetterman, maybe. And, I think there are still some sensible, a few sensible Democrats in the Senate. Probably not your two senators there in California.
Nope, they blow it up.
Can I say something about Nancy?
Yeah, she's retiring.
That's the big news this morning. I know. And I got to say this. I mean, this is important. She was an incredibly, I'm not saying this in praise, I'm just saying factually, she was an incredibly important historical figure. Mm-hmm. And you know why? She was when the left 25 years ago plotted their left-wing takeover of the Democratic Party, which they have succeeded in, given what happened on Tuesday in the elections. Nancy Pelosi was the first pillar of that. She somehow staged a coup in the House, so they have one of the most liberal, House of Representatives members elevated to speaker, and then they got Obama in, and then they got all these other radicals in. So that was the start of something that I think was horrible for the country, which is that you now have a very radical Democratic Party that is, when I first came to Washington in the 80s, we had Dick Gephardt and Sam Nunn and, a lot of very sensible centrist Democrats. They don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, and guess who's going to replace her? There's a guy named Scott Wiener in California who I say is the creator of all bad ideas here. I mean, literally.
Oh, no. You mean worse than Pelosi?
He's going to make Pelosi look like a walk in the park.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this guy's no joke, Stephen. Really, I mean, he loosens like the restrictions on child predators. I mean, this guy is something else.
Oh, my God.
So watch out, because he's next in line.
Yeah. Well, the good news is for you all there in Los Angeles area is that, now California won't be the highest tax place in the world. Now it's going to be New York City. Yay. By the way, did you see that Statue of Lady Liberty was seen on Brooklyn Bridge hitchhiking to get out of town?
I believe it.
I do
Look,
believe it.
you know where she's going. She's going to follow all the folks from Wall Street to Y'all Street. Y'all Street.
You're not coming to California. I can guarantee you that.
Texas, baby. Y'all Street.
Yeah.
She is going to Y'all Street. I love it. I know. Well, that's what they're saying. Like 10% of businesses, people are going to get out of town, Stephen, and that's what's going to happen, and we're going to see it in real time. And I do think Zofran Mamdani.
We've already seen it.
Yeah.
And my prediction that's gone kind of viral on the internet is that that Wall Street will no longer be located in Manhattan. Wall Street is going to move. They're going to get a big crane and take that famous, iconic bull right in front of Wall Street, and they're going to take it out, and it's going to move to Dallas.
Yep.
Right now there is a Texas Stock Exchange, as you know, Grant, and that's going to become the New York. For 150 years it was the New York Stock Exchange. Now it will be the Texas Stock Exchange. I mean, these people are killing themselves. I mean, I don't understand these people can't even do math. You pay 14, 15, 16% tax in Texas, and in New York you pay zero in Texas. That's not a hard decision to make.
I just read that there are more financial workers in Texas than there are in New York today.
Already. Yeah. And
That's
then
incredible.
migration out of shit. By the way, who are they going to get the money from when all the millionaires and billionaires leave? I know the answer to that question. You know what they're going to do in about 18 months?
Tell me.
What do you think? They're going to come to Washington for a federal bailout.
A bailout, because everybody's going to be gone. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Why would you stick around?
Yeah.
Not going to happen under this Congress and president.
Well, no, but they're going to run out of money, just like Chicago has. I mean, the three biggest cities in America today, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, all have socialist mayors.
It's incredible.
It's pathetic. Yeah.
All right. Well, Stephen Moore, we'll
get through this.
We'll get through it. And you know what? Sometimes people have to learn with their own experiences, right? So that's what we're going to see right now.
The people who voted, what's really sad is the people who voted for Mamdani were white, college-educated young people.
Yeah. Yeah.
They haven't learned a damn thing.
They haven't learned a thing. That's exactly right. And they were excited to vote for him. All right, Stephen.
That is the great Stephen Moore. And it's fascinating to listen to his take on things. I'm a little disagreeing with him on the filibuster. I think it's time to throw it out because you heard when I asked him there. If you believe there's above a 50% chance that the Democrats are going to throw out the filibuster, then we have to throw out the filibuster. Because we control it all right now. We can get it done. And there's no guarantee that Democrats take it all back. They got to win the White House, the House, and the Senate. It's a tall order for Democrats right now, especially the direction they're going. I think it's worth the risk now to throw out the filibuster. I've thought long and hard about this. Tonight on the Real America's Voice show, we're going to have a Senate candidate. He's running against Lindsey Graham, trying to drain the swamp. And we'll have him on the program to talk about what he would do with throwing out the filibuster and if that's a good idea or not. Real quick, let me remind you, the cryptocode.com/Grant. This is an automated trading bot. Their record is like pushing 90% success rate on the trading bot, the cryptocode.com/Grant. Check that out. You set it up, you go to sleep. With very little risk. That's the key to this one, and it's not super expensive to get into, and you can trade with a small amount of capital, unlike so many of these other AI trading bots and algorithms. The cryptocode.com/Grant. With that, GrantStinchfield.com. That's going to do it for us. I'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. God bless all of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you then.